Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ask ServiceMonster show, where you've got questions about your service business and we've got your answer. Today's question comes from Pete. Pete asks, hey, SOPs, I'm hearing a little bit about them. My business coach is talking about them. Is it something that I should be concerned with? It seems like he's just getting a handful of employees. I think he's got maybe 2. He's got some office staff, and he's looking to grow and scale. And SOPs are close to my heart because it is the key to my success, especially in the early days. So yeah, I think SOPs are a great idea. We're going to focus on them here. So first of all, just a small story about my backstory. Many of you know I was grinding on aluminum parts at minimum wage at 21 years old, right? How I went from there to a warehouse manager in 18 months, pretty simple. I studied process. I studied the process that they were doing within that manufacturing plant, and I picked up a couple parts that I went, why are we doing it this way? And adjusted the process, which turned over much higher volumes. Shortcut is I made a shitload of money for somebody else. And that was all because of process. Now, if you don't have it written down, you have no process at all. You can't actually train very well. And indeed, your margins aren't really where they could be, and you're not developing brand consistency. So yes, I'm very keen on actually doing SOPs internally to make sure everything goes as planned. Building systems inside your organization definitely can help increase your margins. There's a handful of other benefits that you get out of it, but I mean, hell, what more do you want than that? Employees can gain mastery much easier if they don't have to go to the manager every 5 minutes or to you, the owner. If they can go to an SOP and go, how do I do this procedure? It makes it a lot easier to train. It makes it a lot easier to scale, and it makes consistency among the delivery of those services, because that's what they're doing, right? They're performing some function or service within your company across employees. It also really helps make seldom done tasks easy to do. I know I've got a handful of tasks I do maybe like once a year, once every 6 months. And if I didn't have a piece of paper that told me step A, step B, step C to help remind me, and some of the stuff I do is massively complex, it would take me a half a day to figure it all out again. So SOPs can really help you gel that gap so you can get through those really difficult processes and seldomly done processes quickly. SOPs make it possible to do accounting and auditing against the process. If the process says ABC and employee did CBA, then you can actually audit that, show them where they went wrong, and then work on course corrections and coaching. When you find a discrepancy in an audit on an SOP, you have 2 choices. You can change the behavior of the employee, or you can change the SOP. Sometimes an employee will make the process better. They're doing it day in and day out, right? Maybe they have a different way to do it, which shaves a few clicks off of a computer screen. Being flexible in your SOPs is definitely key, because you don't want to get trapped into the old adage, hey, we've always done it this way. And when I was doing process engineering for other companies, man, I would hear that a lot. I would ask the employees, well, why do you do it that way? I don't know. We've just always done it that way. Huge inefficiency and waste creeps in, and if you're not adapting your SOPs to what the employees actually need to be doing, you could be headed for trouble. The other thing SOPs allow you to do is just general accountability, the whole process, right? So yeah, switching things around, but also if you don't have SOPs, you cannot hold your employees accountable. I mean, sure you can fire them, but I think you're being a prick. You don't actually set the expectations of what they need. You don't set the parameters that they can look at to say, this is the way I need to do things, so that you can make sure they're done. A quick story. In that same manufacturing plant, as I obtained the warehouse manager, I had responsibility over 3 crews: day shift, swing shift, and midnight shift. Came in early one morning to find the midnight shift had cut a whole shitload of titanium, $70 a pound, to the wrong spec. Now, everything was crazy by this point, right? The QA department had already known by the time I come in. The 3 people who were worked the graveyard shift had been sent home with questionable, are they going to be coming into work the next day? And as soon as I hit the floor, they pulled me in to their executive meeting to talk about it. Turns out they actually followed a general process that had an error in it. And the QA department thought that, hey, any reasonable person would know that that was an error and make adjustments accordingly. But I had to point out and defend for my guys, look, if this is the way the process is done, it's your process that's broken. And we quickly then tried to figure out another part we could make from that titanium. We were able to find another manufacturer that had a need for a reasonable spec. The scrap was minimized and it turned out not to be a huge deal. But they came after my guys at first, and I had to say, look, you guys have a piece of paper that tells them to do ABC. They did that. You cannot put them in trouble or get them fired for that. And ended up costing QA manager a lot of points because he came at me hard for it. It's that piece of paper, man, that really helps establish as you grow 5, 10, 12, 14, 18, 24 people. What are they supposed to do? How are they supposed to do it? And more importantly, when they don't do it that way, coaching, correction, and finally termination. All right, so I talked a lot about the benefits, right? And benefits to the employees, the benefits to you, but it's not easy. It's red tape. What's the implementation? How do you actually make it work? How do you even go about doing it? What do they look like? SOPs are all over the place, and they don't really have to be more than a bullet point list of instructions. Step 1, step 2, step 3. They don't have to be fancy. They don't have to follow some GMP or ISO rule about how they should be structured. There's a couple key points you want to keep in mind and a couple systems that you might use in order to make this process a whole lot easier. WordPress is a good example. If you have a little technical chops and you can get a WordPress service up and running, you can use WordPress to manage your SOP library. Each page then becomes an SOP, and revisions and edits are super easy. You can give people permissions and so forth. That's what we do here at ServiceMonster. The other thing that you can do, of course, is just raw documents like Word documents. Paying attention to naming conventions and revision history, it gets a little challenging, but if you set up your folders and your structure right, then people can find what they need quickly, like the old binder systems, indexing systems like the library, right? If you take this approach, build a simple document template, right? A header, a footer, the date and the time it was last revised, a revision number, a good title, and then the Word document itself needs a good convention. And the best part about this is make the employees document their processes themselves. You don't need a manager to do it or you as the owner documenting all the processes. Make the employees break it up. It makes it easier because the work then gets broken up. Yeah, it takes some time out of their day and actually we're to spin it up and write down what they're doing. But man, the more you see the benefit, the more you realize it's not really that big of a deal. Take a little bit of time every once in a quarter, maybe do some audits to keep them fresh and up to date. And other than that, if they want to hand off a task, let's say an office manager doesn't want to do outbound collection calls to commercial clients anymore, guess what? Write a process on it and I'll hand that over to somebody else. That's really the key, right? Getting the employees involved and engaged, and then those audits come along to ensure everybody's paying attention and doing things the right way, and it starts to just take care of itself. So 3 points, guys. SOPs help you improve your bottom line and build systems that you can automate to help your business grow and scale. SOPs are critical in the fact that they're the only ways to truly hold people accountable. And SOPs are absolutely, positively red tape. They're a pain in the ass to do, so make the process as simple, streamlined, and easy as possible. Until next time, kids, subscribe to our YouTube channel, sign up for the demo, give us a call.